Okay, so today's video is all about Christian homemaking. I love homemaking. I won't say that I always loved it, but I have grown to love it. And I think that sometimes it can be a little overwhelming if your parents didn't teach you how to cook or clean or do any of that. And now maybe you're thrown into that role and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's okay. Give yourself a lot of grace. I have a lot of stories of things like that I did where I was like, I don't know how to do, make over easy eggs or, whatever it is. And it's just something that you learn. I will say I love homemaking now. I absolutely love it. I feel like the house we live in, like this is my little castle, my little place where I get to make it my own. And I really cherish that about being a homemaker, that it really is my own. I love having a clean house. I love having a tidied house. I love organizing, and that's just natural. I really do. Me and my friend Laura, we talked about like opening a company on organizing where we just go into people's house and organize everything. Like that would be my dream job pretty much. I love that type of thing. And so I do like having an orderly house. I am not naturally an orderly person. You can ask my husband. It is something that I have kind of learned to be better at. And I think that I'm doing much better now than I used to be. So I do feel like homemaking is something that can be very holy. And I think that a lot of people don't think of it that way. But whatever you are called to do, whether you're a doctor, whether, you're supposed to be a teacher or whatever you're called to do, if you do it to the best of your ability and you try to do it in a virtuous, good way, a cheerful heart, a giving heart, then you can grow in holiness within that vocation, with whatever you're doing, even a homemaker like me. It is hard because if you are a homemaker, you know what I'm talking about. It is hard because it can feel isolating sometimes. It can feel like you are going through Groundhog's Day over and over, doing the dishes, doing the laundry, sweeping the floor, all these repetitive things. And I have 4 kids, so I'm constantly like cleaning up and helping them clean up and stuff. And trying to keep this house in order is a full-time job. It really, truly is. And I have learned how to enjoy it, how to take pride in it. Not in a, a bad way, but in a way of like, yeah, like this is a clean house. I like having my husband come home to a clean house. And I've noticed that when he comes home to a clean house, he seems so much more at peace. He enjoys being at home, compared to, when the house is a disaster and the kids are screaming and, everything's all over. I have had it when my husband walks in the door and I can just tell he's like, oh my gosh, I'd rather be back at work. And I get it. Like if I had a hard day's work, I would want to come home to, a house that's put together, a meal on the table, and just, everything kind of together. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that, think about if your husband, your spouse was coming home from a hard day's work, if that were you, what would you want, and I think doing what we do with a cheerful heart is the key, because sometimes we can really get down and be like, oh my gosh, I have to clean up these socks again. Like the kids leave their socks everywhere, and I feel like I'm constantly picking them up. But instead of being, angry about that, I try to be joyful and I try to be like, thank you, God, that my children have socks that I can pick up, and same with the dishes. It used to be where I did not like doing dishes. I just hated it with a passion, and I trained myself to enjoy it, and I trained myself for it to be kind of a prayerful time where I can just be quiet. The kids are, usually it's after dinner, and my husband will take the kids and play with them because he hasn't seen them all day. And it's kind of my me time. And at first I was like, this is my me time, but it became like a joyful thing that now I get to do. And sometimes I'm exhausted. I'm not gonna lie and say like every night I just love it, because there are times where harder days, come around and it's not super joyful every time. But I try to bring joy into it, because a thankful heart is something that is so good to give to God. You know, like we have so much when you think about it, and we want to constantly thank God through the gifts that He has given to us. Homemaking, we can make it what we want it to be, and only you are the one that gets to decide if you take it and make it a joyful experience, or take it and just are dreading it every single day. So I heard it said once that life is 80% your attitude and 20% situational. And I think that is so true. If you decide you're gonna have a great day, you're gonna work hard on being joyful, even in hard moments, like you can overcome it and you can become whatever you wanna be. So just keep that in mind. So I feel like for some people, homemaking can be really overwhelming. And so I'm just gonna kind of share some tips that have helped me to grow in holiness through the homemaking process. Like I said, like I didn't just come into marriage and be like, I'm a homemaker, I can do everything perfect. And I think sometimes people think that way. But when you kind of give it all to God and you just try, and you try to make new meals and try cleaning better and different things like that, you'll eventually get there. My newest thing, and this is what made me think of to do this video, is I was having a hard time finding time to clean. And I'm one of those people who I need like a block schedule of, okay, this is when I do my YouTube videos. This is when I do this. This is when I do this. Otherwise, I'm all over the place. So I was like, I need a time that I can just clean the house. And so I was like, okay, when would be a good time? And so I thought about it, and I do the Divine Mercy Chaplet at the 3 o'clock hour, which is a Catholic devotional that that you can do. It's awesome. So I will just do the Divine Mercy, and then after that, I will clean my house, because for me, it clicked when I was like, okay, cleaning is kind of a sacrificial thing. It's not something that I super love doing. I would love to have somebody come and clean my house, but it can be a holy thing. It can be a very good and holy thing, especially when we do these things that are sacrificial. They can be so good and so holy. And so I was like, it kind of clicked with me. I can do the Divine Mercy at 3, and for the rest of the 3 o'clock hour, I can clean my house. And so for an hour a day, I'm cleaning. And if I'm completely done cleaning and need something to do, that's fine. Like I can go play with the kids, but I clean till it's done. Or if it's not done after, you know, the full hour, then that's fine. Then I just go on to the next thing. But knowing that I spent that time to give to my family, that sacrifice is such a good thing, and it really clicked with me. So one thing that I love is Saturday mornings. The kids are all about football right now. Everybody's into football except for maybe me. I mean, I like football, but I can't sit and watch a 4-hour game. But I do enjoy on Saturday mornings on Food Network. I love watching their videos on like different meals to prep. And I've learned so much just through watching. I know YouTube has some really awesome videos, like cooking videos too. Like you can look up anything nowadays. So I would just say give yourself grace. If you are just a beginner homemaker, it's okay. Like give yourself grace. Like if you burn the eggs, it's okay. Like just try it better next time. You know what you did wrong, you know, kind of thing. So give yourself a lot of grace. And just enjoy the food that you prepare. So make sure you're picking food that both you and your husband like, and your children, if you're, you know, and just prepare the foods that you think you'll like. And eventually you'll find some of your favorite recipes. Also, meal planning can take out so much stress to meal plan. People will ask me to do my meal planning video, and maybe I'll get to that, but there's lots of videos on YouTube about like meal planning. I highly recommend it. You save money, there's no stress, you know what you're making, it's awesome. So highly recommend you know, I do it on Sundays because I love meal planning. That's like my fun time. I know I'm crazy, but I sit down and I plan for 6 meals, and then one night is for leftovers. So that's what I'll do, is I'll just kind of, you know, and I'll have three of the meals are chicken nights, 2 nights are ground beef, and then one night is like a fish or meatless meal for my Fridays. So and then one night is leftover, and that's kind of like how I plan it. And I'll try to make at least 1 new meal a week so that we can kind of get new food in the rotation. And I really, really like that one. Definitely use the crock pot a lot. Just dump everything and go on with your day. That's the best, and they make such good meals. So, so try meal planning, because that will relieve a lot of stress. And then make sure that you're praying throughout the day. I try to wake up early and be with God during that time. I am a morning person, so that's just how it works for me, is waking up early. That's when I work out and I do my prayers before the kids wake up. I should say, Zachary wakes up at 5 now, so he'll sit and play while I do my thing, but the rest of the kids wake up around 6:30. So anyway, he's my little buddy, my little prayer buddy. But so wake up early, because you get so much more done while they're sleeping. Make sure you schedule a date night with your husband. If you can't afford it, just have a date night at home. I know babysitters are very expensive nowadays, and so for me and my husband, we'll just like have a date night where, you know, I'll make a dessert or something like that. We'll have wine, he'll have beer, and we will just hang out and chat and talk or play a game, something like that. So try to connect with your husband as well, because the more kids I'm having, the more I'm realizing that it can be hard to have that connection and stuff, because we're constantly going, figuring things out and stuff. Also, another thing, if you are a mom, schedule playtime with your kids, because it can get really hectic. And I feel like sometimes the kids, I'm like, oh my gosh, I barely like read to them today, or I barely, you know, even talked to them about, you know, anything or interacted, because I'm worried about other things. And so I would say, like, plan, like, do that block time of like spending time with your children, reading to them, teaching them how to play, you know. And I feel like for me, even as a kid, I didn't play very much, but Zachary and Bella both are very imaginative and love playing, and so I need to block off that time to play with them and to give them that time, teach them how to play and be, and then they eventually, the rest of the day, like, play together really well. But I've noticed that that really does help them. So anyway, so that is my video. I hope that it helps somebody out there. What are your tips and tricks for homemaking? Like I said, give yourself a lot of grace and just enjoy this season of life. Try not to get stressed out. Just enjoy it. Make it a prayerful, happy time in your life. So anyway, until next time, I will see you all later. God bless. Bye.